Sauce.
Hey, you like Pez?
It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these. From the boundary line!
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host Pez. I'm here with Sauce live in the studio on a Wednesday afternoon, and there's no Thursday footy this week. Sauce, what are the AFL doing?
They're putting two games on Anzac Day, Pez. They're doing the Monday special. We've got our traditional, obviously, Essendon versus the Magpies, but we've also put in a 12:30 one, a little bit of an early one. So the people of Tassie are getting a taste of Anzac Day special. Don't know about the break of tradition on that one, Pez, but Thursday night footy, we need to see it back in the schedule.
Yeah, have two games on Anzac Day, that's fine, but just move another one on a Saturday. Move it to Thursday. We love Thursday footy here at Behind the Boundary. I know it's very Controversial out there in the Twitter sphere, but we do love Thursday footy. It makes the week go quicker. It makes Fridays seem so much better. You can already talk about one game and head into the rest of the round. I
mean, surely we've worked it out by now that Monday footy doesn't work in terms of the regular season. Anzac Day is a special occasion. Thursday night footy always works, Pez. Always works. And last week delivered some absolute crackers Thursday night football. Don't know why the AFL don't continually run a regular Thursday night time slot, considering for the first half of the year they seem to love it. And then at the end of the year they're like, too many. Like, just put it in the regular schedule.
Just
and
do
accept
it. And no more Wednesdays either.
No
we
more
don't
Wednesdays.
like that.
Get out of there.
All right, lots of things happening in the week, and we don't like talking about it, but a lot to do with umpires and umpire bosses and things. So let's get into our first segment. Well, here we are, Sauce. Big win, little win. We've got certain topics and we need to decide if they're a big win for the AFL or if they are a little win. And I'm just going to jump straight into it because the biggest story during the week was to do with the AFL umpires and the new argument rule, or the now dissent rule, as Brad Scott alluded to. And pretty ironic that Brad Scott is heading this and talking and backing the umpires. And the 50 metres we are talking about is the Hawthorn one, where the two players in the middle of the ground were talking to the umpire. One raised their arms and the umpires paid 50 metres, 100 metres off the ball, and put a certain goal for Tom Hawkins. So it's a very strange one, Sauce, and interested to hear your opinion on it. But the difference between argument and dissent apparently doesn't matter to Brad Scott, and it's a 50 either way.
Yeah, I agree with... I think it's a big win that the AFL took the step in this direction to sort of limit the amount of abuse and, I'm not going to use the word dissent, but abuse towards umpires that we'd seen sort of seep into junior football. And, it's good to see them. They're trying to put role models on the field for the younger blokes and the younger girls out there to make sure that they are, modelling what is appropriate behaviour. This rubbish about dissent and waving your arms around in an aggressive manner, like we often see in the NBA, or we see sometimes when someone's giving a spray and they wave their arms around. Yeah, of course, that is definitely dissent. Throwing your arms up in sort of a moment of disappointment or confusion, I don't think that is dissent. I think that is just a natural reaction. And in the initial whistle one, yep, arms up, like what's going on, that's fine. If they get an explanation and they're continuing to carry on and be demonstrative, then yes, of course, 50. But the initial reaction, that is a little win. It's a big loss for the AFL because we still want these people to be human. We want them to show passion and emotion. There was a story during the week about how everyone was getting upset about the Essendon team, having a laugh after a 40-point loss. Hang on, we want them to be not human then. We want them to be robots. But in showing passion in an instant reaction, we want them to, to do nothing. We can't have it both ways, AFL.
Oh, I definitely agree. I think this is a little win for the AFL, Sauce, and the game is a very emotional game. Emotional for the fans, emotional for the players, their families, the coaches, and anyone involved in the game. So you need to be able to show some emotive language. You use a good point there at the end of games, not being able to laugh with your opponent that you haven't seen, your mates, and you haven't seen them for a couple of years due to COVID. People get into them about that, and then they show emotion, and then people don't get into it. It's very, very frustrating. But if a player's there, not all of us, but some of us have played a local sport and whatever. If you do something, the natural frustration, if you give away a penalty, you might put your arms out, okay, in some cases. It doesn't mean you've shown dissent towards an umpire. I agree that you shouldn't be able to argue at the umpire, yell at the umpire, certain things like that. Interesting that people are bringing up things from 20 years ago, Sauce, where they're bringing out AFL adverts that were actually advertising umpire abuse pretty much and showing the game like that. But there's also things flying around and GIFs everywhere of Brad Scott in the coach's box at North Melbourne. He was one of the worst for it, putting his arms up and complaining about the umpires, and now he's backing them fully. I think Brad Scott hasn't given himself any favours, because he should have said, yes, dissent and arguments towards the umpire will go in a 50, but in this case, it should have been left alone. Yeah,
and we're going to talk about this in the next big win, little win point, Pez. But before we get on to it, I think you're exactly right. He hasn't done any favours, because what he's allowed and what the AFL continually do, and I don't know whether it's the commissioner's point of view or whoever is running the AFL, because we don't know with realistically where these decisions are coming from, but it is back the umpires at every single cost. And at the end of the day, Pez, they are human. They do make mistakes. There are some bad calls. And this dissent thing that has come in there, the AFL put out a massive points of emphasis with this, and they had 6 dot points under the heading of limiting or reducing the amount of arguments, and dissent was in there. And waving in the arms was mentioned specifically. Waving in the arms is not allowed. But there's a difference between waving the arms as in an up and down, waving them as a frustration level, and there's a waving your arms in an abusive manner. And I think they need to be really clear about that. And what the first step the AFL needs to do is stop backing the umpires at every turn. If you're going to critique the umpires and we're going to turn to you for an opinion, every now and then it needs to be used as a learning experience. And you know what, Pez? It was wrong, but that's okay. We're working with the umpire, and we're using that as part of our educational material going forward. When we review the game with all the umpires, we're showing them so that we can get better. But at the moment, how can you improve if every time they do it, they get a gold star?
Yeah, well, the umpire is always right, which is not good for anyone, because there is no education in the game. And I think these new rules and things like that just put a lot of pressure on the umpires, to learn something else and then go, I'm under pressure from my boss to call this call, but this is going to make me look silly in front of 90,000 people and then millions of people watching at home. So the umpire's in a really difficult spot at the moment, and I don't blame the umpire. I blame the people system above and the system of the AFL. So
they're set up to
not
fail.
Good at all.
Set up to fail, Pez. And speaking set up to fail, we're going to continually go on to the umpires. And again, not the actual umpire's adjudication for it, but this continual backing. In the next scenario, Pez, in the next aspect of this segment, we look at the staging, and specifically the Tom Hawkins sort of free kick that was paid. Hawkins is pushed in the back by Sam Frost during a marking contest. He jumps for the ball, and he extremely exaggerates the play to the point where he, if you stopped it, he gets that old school meme that was flying around on Facebook, the shooting star flying around. It's an easy one for that. I'm sure that's been made somewhere. The free kick is paid, which it shouldn't be paid. It wasn't a push out. Realistically,
no, it should have been paid.
It shouldn't have been, mate. You're allowed to have a marking contest.
It was said. The AFL backed the call.
Don't be flogged, Pez. And this is the thing. Like, I'm a Geelong supporter sitting there, and in the game, I'm just like, that's not a free kick. And then you see it again, and it's like, okay, well, he'll be fine for staging, because he clearly staged. The MRO gives this explanation, Pez. Hawkins exaggerated the contact, but his actions did not constitute a reportable offence. No further action is taken. What? Isn't the rule staging? Exaggeration? Pez, this has to be... I'm going to get into this for you. This has to be a little win for the AFL.
It's a little win. It's very ironic that it's Hawkins, because he had a big push in the back on an opponent the other week that wasn't paid, and then now he's getting a little dinky push in the back.
And he put his hands up in the air.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Anytime a player puts their hands up in the air, they pretty much shouldn't get a free kick.
No.
And it pisses me off. So Mackay was fined $1,000 a few weeks back for staging. He got a little bit of a bump and went straight to the floor. It was very obvious staging, and he deserved the fine. But Tom Hawkins deserves a fine as well, because it doesn't look good for the game. Young forwards growing up idolising Tom Hawkins, what are they going to do this weekend? They're going to get a little hand in the back, and they're going to exaggerate contact and try and get a free kick. So it's not good for any level of the game.
Dude, if you're going to have a excessive exaggeration, which is what the fine is labelled as, he staged it. Any sort of contact, you look at, the NBA we use as a perfect example, because we were watching the NBA today, and you look at Patrick Beverley, for example. He got whacked in the face. Oh, no, it wasn't him. That was Vanderbilt. He gets whacked in the face and hits the floor hard, grabs his face. There was a little bit of contact, excessively exaggerated it. Yes, the contact was there, but there's no need to carry on like this. The bloke, Tom Hawkins, goes sideways in this incident. That little push out for a bloke that's, 100 kegs, 200 centimetres, not on. It's just ridiculous. He needed to be fined, and it's a fine. Like, just Just make the call, make the fine.
The reason they don't want to make the call is because they want to back the umpire and say that it's the right call. Because if he gets fined for exaggeration, the umpire call probably wasn't correct. So they just don't want to say that they're wrong, and that's why they're not giving him the fine. So it's ridiculous.
But the worst thing in this one is they actually have said that, you know what, it was a dive. They've said, yeah, it was, but it wasn't that bad a dive. It was only off the little board. It wasn't off the high board, so it's fine. You're kidding me, aren't you?
Now, this isn't the next segment. I'm going to go off this with umpire calls and putting arms up sauce. When a player goes to get the ball now, these days, they go into a pack, they pick up the ball, they deliberately pretend to pick up the ball and then let go of it and put their arms up in the air and get tackled. I've seen a lot of holding the man free kicks in the first 5 rounds, and I absolutely bloody hate it.
I hate that one. I hate the one where they're like, you know, they throw the ball back to the player and they move their hands away and they're trying to get the 50. We're worried too much about the product of AFL umpires. We're worrying too much about the adjudication of the rules. And again, it's a product of the AFL's failure to stick to a bunch of bylaws and rules and interpretations and just run with it for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes, please run with it. Instead of changing from round to round, continually backing the umpire, which changes the benchmark.
Changes the coaching.
Exactly right.
The coaches coach around it. So just leave it, let it go, and continue from there. Now, the last one that we need to speak about on Twitter and probably personally as well, with us both going to the footy on the weekend, is fan behaviour source. Are the fans behaving themselves at the footy?
Yeah, look, I know everyone's going to go and talk about the product of COVID and not being able to socialise, but I think it's getting really bad, Pez. And an example from the weekend is Tom Rockcliffe. You know, he put up a tweet saying that I'll say this: I loved my fan engagement with the Carlton fans today. Besides one engagement, passionate as any team. I wish you all the best. Jump on the Blues train. If you are not sure who to jump on, just be good supporters. In reference to him leaving the MCG with his family, with his son, and getting obviously in a verbal spat. And I'm saying obviously because of another quote that he had, and he has reportedly been spat on. Now, passion is great. I love having passion in the football, and I think it's really, really great to have some engagements with football. And sometimes when you're up there, your frustrations, and now you obviously don't wave your hands in the air as a spectator because you don't want to get, unsocial behaviour and get thrown out. You don't want to get arrested or whatever. But you do. You get involved in the game. You shout out some stuff. It sounds like Rockcliffe has had a bit of an engagement, and he said, that I was supporting harder than anyone else, and I probably took it a little bit too far. But spitting is not on, and I agree, spitting's not on, Pez. But I think this is a little win for fans because I think as an AFL football player and as a father, he needs to model good behaviour.
Well, everyone at the footy needs to, model good behaviour, and then you have to kind of call it out. But it's dangerous in these times to actually call it out to other people as well. So I don't agree with spitting. I think swearing is another thing that needs to be fully banned as well from the supporters, because it's just not on. Cheer for your team. Cheer as hard. A little bit of banter back and forth between fans and between opposition things is what makes going to the footy really, really fun. And you have a laugh and a giggle at people, going back and forth at each other and cheering and trying to cheer louder than the other people. But when it comes to swearing, when it comes to spitting, any physical altercation or getting up in people's personal space is just a no-go zone.
But even the personal, I've got no problem supporting and, oh, that's a dirty play. Oh, you're a dog, whatever. But then once the play's done, it's done. I don't like all this, this pre sort of thing. Look at the way that all the Hawthorn fans booed their triple premiership player in Isaac Smith every time he touched the ball. Joel Selwood was getting booed every time he got the ball. And some of the verbal abuse that came out at the football towards those two players, respected AFL players in the community, both have played over 200 games. I just don't understand why it becomes a personal attack for these athletes playing sport. That to me is not on. If you want to be abusive towards an act in the game, incidental, and then that's done for the game. Just be good role models for everyone else. Whether you got children or not, be a good person to society. You don't need to act like a pack of ferals. We were in a beautiful space where we were allowed to sit next to supporters. We're allowed to go to the footy. You and I can go to the footy and watch Geelong, St Kilda. We don't have to segregate in different areas in England, some other places around Europe. Don't ruin it by being absolute morons.
Yeah, and a bit of negativity around fan behaviour there. I got a couple of little stories from my trip to the footy on Saturday, Gold Coast and St Kilda. I'm walking in, and there's this bloke, an older gentleman, and he's with what I believe was his wife and his son, and they're talking about umpires. And I'm just, walking to gate 7. I don't know why I had to go to gate 7. I usually enter gate 2 at Marvel, but anyway.
Stay on the right route.
Now, it's not a rant or anything. I just didn't agree with this bloke. He was saying that Ray Chamberlain, is great for the game, and he's an amazing umpire. And his little personality comes across good on TV.
So
and
he went over and spat on him.
I would just totally disagree. I didn't spit on him. I didn't even respond to him.
Well, that's big from you, Pez.
Yeah, I just kept my mouth shut, kept walking, had a little bit of a smile and a smirk to say Razor Ray has to be the worst thing to happen to footy. But I did see another tweet that said they should get rid of umpire numbers, umpire names. You shouldn't know who is actually umpiring the game because people get up in arms before the game even happens, depending on who umpires the game. And they need to just, make the calls and then go off the ground. And I agree with that.
Yeah, disagree about that, Pez. I think that the umpires have worked hard to make it to that level, and they should be celebrated and acknowledged. But
just a little stab at you there, umpire. But the other story, this is the best story. I'm sitting row 1 near the interchange bench, and you've got the St Kilda players were walking past when they're on the bench up and down. And at one point in the third quarter, Rowan Marshall's on the bench, and he's walking up and down. And I'm going to say between 5 and 8. That's a pretty big span. Yeah. A little girl was up in the stairs, and she's up at the fence, and she yells out, "Marshall!" and then ducks her head so she can't see. And she kept doing it in the third and fourth quarter. So they were having a bit of fun, and they got photos with the mascots, St Kilda mascots at 3/4 time. So a good fan story.
The male and female Saint, which I like, nice little inclusive community that St Kilda are becoming. But Pez, those sort of moments, both of those interactions are going to be lost if all this abusive behaviour continues, because people are going to keep their opinion to themselves. How many times have you and I been to the footy, and you and I have been having just a personal conversation, and someone has interjected? Remember when we went to, was it Melbourne Geelong, and you and I were talking, and some big bloke behind us, we were obviously being we were having a bit of banter between us and having a bit of a joke, and he piped up, thought that we would just, called his mum something disgusting, and we were just talking about a Melbourne player, and I think we were just being...
I don't know what we were
just
doing.
Being a little bit silly. And this bloke, we'd been that sort of person, Perry, turn around, boom, we're in a fight, and he would have beat the shit out of both of us quickly. But you're not able to have those personal conversations. Those interactions will be lost if we continue this abusive culture. And I don't think it stems from the players on the field. I think it does stem from the people in the community not calling out that sort of behaviour and not being penalised for it, because everyone's become too scared and too free voice everything. But anyway, that's another rant, Pez.
Yeah, but a little win for the AFL with fan behaviour, but a couple of little stories. So if you've got any good stories of fan behaviour, send it into Twitter at Behind the Bound, because we'd love to hear about it and talk about it on the podcast source.
We do, Pez. And of course, following up from big wins, little wins, let's talk about the minor and major wins that we had this weekend in our bet review.
Soft review, it's no official review. How does it end? We don't know. They've kind of lost, but they've won as well.
Oh, betting review source for round, what was that, round 4, round 5?
Round 5. Pay attention.
How good is that? We actually got a tweet on our bet slip on the results there, and it's from Sir Duke, a long-time listener here, and he goes, now I don't know who to tail. Pez hot, but things always even out in the end. And I think you're very, very wrong.
Sir Duke knows.
You're very, very wrong, Sir Duke. And I'll tell you right now, you listen to me, you follow my bet slip, because I'm on absolute fire for a reason. And Source is, the flame's been put out, and he's not winning his little big multis and things like that.
Mate, Sir Duke knows. In the end, all trumps Pez in the end, and I end up coming up on top, like always.
I speak about you coming up on top. How'd you go this round?
Yeah, well, shit house. No, I was very lucky this weekend to escape with only losing a little bit of amount of money through my luxury of bonus bets, Pez. And we start things off on the Friday night. My God, this was a bad beat, Pez. So I had a 3-leg same game multi, which was my bonus, and this is a disgusting bet. And I had over 159.5. That got up. Charlie Cameron to kick a goal, which he kicked one in the third, I think it was the fourth quarter. Third quarter. I was looking a little bit scarce there up at half time because he didn't get near the pill. Then the minus 8.5, Pez. Brisbane up by a fair bit in the last quarter, and then a few interesting decisions were made by our good mates, the umpires, and to miss that 8.5 and to finish with an 8-point win in terms of Brisbane when they were up by 20 points with a minute and something to go. is disgusting. But yeah, I did lose that bonus, so I had the opportunity to double up and didn't lose any money, but it should have been $25 in my pocket.
Would have been handy to have that little bit of cash. I had my same game multi over 137.5 got up. McCluggage and Rich to get 20 plus got up, but I had the quarter by quarter leader, the wire to wire, and Collingwood came out on fire and led that first quarter, but by a fair bit as well. So that didn't get up. I think the play in hindsight, Brisbane won 39.
Yeah,
if you can talk in hindsight, it's very, very easy. But both had a loss. I escaped with a bonus, which I used later in the round, and we head to Good Friday, where North Melbourne are under pressure to actually keep this game.
Yeah, probably for West Coast and North Melbourne fans, you're talking about bad Friday because it was two absolute drubbings. We both have the same bet here, Pez. Aaron Norton to kick any of the first 5 goals. He kicked the third goal of the game. That was an easy, nice $50 for us, Pez, and you're minor cheeky, as I think you had it as last week because it played by the rules.
Yeah,
so just because you push the button doesn't mean it's a cheeky.
We put up there, what colours
the cheeky? It's blue.
Oh, cheeky!
There we go. You flog, all right.
But I did put out another bet beforehand because I messaged you this the night before, and I couldn't believe the odds that I got on this bet. I had Bulldogs head to head over 100, and I think that's 45.5. Bulldogs plus 0.5 in the first half, so they just had to be a draw or winning, and Bulldogs minus 0.5 in the first quarter, so they just had to win the first quarter, and that got me odds of about $2. So used a bet on that, put the max 50 on it, and doubled up. So happy with that.
Surely those betting agencies are getting close on your little tricks of the trade there, Pez.
Yeah, I did have a couple of
grimace right there was
a couple of bets on tab this week where I just had to wait a couple of minutes while they reviewed my bet. But that's not because of these bets, because these are smaller stakes, of course.
Yeah,
but
just winning so much money there, Pez. All right, let's get on to the other game on Good Friday, the evening game. And wow, one thing I did notice about this game, Pez, when was the last time you saw SBS Stadium with not that many less people? Even when Fremantle were at their worst, they still packed out that stadium. West Coast fans, where were you?
Oh, they were all in lockdown with COVID, apparently, like the team.
God.
But where were the team that was actually out on the ground? Because at one stage it was 49-0.
Yeah, didn't score until the second quarter, and had to get
late in the second
very
quarter as well.
Dubious free kick. It wasn't a free kick, but very dubious. Liam Ryan put one on in a marking contest, and he got their first goal. And he actually was, one shining light for them. But the other shining light, Pez, was my bonus bet. I had a great little bonus bet there when I had my max stake bonus from the week before. Sydney head to head. I told you those odds were absolutely rorted. Sydney plus 2.5, and the over 152.5. I thought Sydney were going to get there on their own at halftime.
Oh, well, they nearly did. Nearly would have. But I had Sydney plus 37.5, Sydney minus 10.5, which you might wonder, why would I have those two in the same thing? And over 127.5. So $25, doubled and more. Very happy with my great Friday.
Yeah, it was a great Friday for the pod, Pez. 2 winning ticks for us, and that's about as good as the Easter weekend went for us, or for me anyway. We get on to the Saturday game. I was a little bit lost track there with how many games we've already played. The Saturday game, the Saints and the Suns, Pez. I had a 3-leg same game multi. I said that the only 50-50 aspect was Bradley Hill kicking a goal, and that was the leg that I lost.
Oh, he had a shot at goal.
He did have a shot, and he sprayed it.
And he gave one away as well earlier in the game. So I was
most definitely
on Brad Hill watch, and he was there, sprayed it, so no good for you, Sauce.
No good for me, so I escaped with a bonus bet for that one, though, because it was the only leg that failed.
I used my bonus stake, and I was being very, very cheeky here because I put Saints 40 plus. I put Dan Butler to kick 2 goals. He didn't kick his goals, and Bradley Hill 20 plus disposals. Ended with 19. He was off with an injury in that fourth quarter for a bit on 18. Came back on and only got the 1 touch. So across there from me, and we move on to the next game.
We do, and both of us did clear in this one with good hindsight, Pez, because it was an absolute surprise, maybe. I don't know. Who are the Tigers is probably the biggest question to come from this, but the Adelaide Crows got a surprising 19-point victory.
Yeah, well, Richmond actually got the lead back and it looked like they were going to, storm past in that third quarter, but they've been a really poor 4-quarter side this year, and Adelaide were able to take advantage of that. There's a couple of minor things with Trent Cotchin and his kicking incident of Tex Walker, and Tex Walker calling him out after he's just served a suspension for some racial slurs, which probably wasn't good at all. But one of the couple of tips that people would have got wrong this week if you tipped Richmond, and one of the ones I got wrong. So if I get a tip wrong, and I steer clear from it, I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, me too. It means it was a 50-50 game and it was a good call on us. All right, go on to the Saturday night game for Melbourne taking on GWS. Melbourne absolutely flexing their muscles against a dismal sort of GWS side. They get their leader back this week, Pez, and couldn't have come quick enough for them. I had 3-league same-game multi, which was my cheeky. Melbourne to lead every quarter, which they did very easy. Absolute bargain, Pez, at $1.80, I think it was at that time. Jack Viney to kick a goal, which he did, and James Harnes just continually giving it off. There was no defence at whatsoever. He didn't need to get close, Pez, because there was no defence there, and a little handball over the top, little kick over the top, and GWS cost me that bet, not Harnes, because
everyone else was feeding on the goals.
Absolutely waltz in there, so I escaped with a $25 bonus bet, Pez, which is all right for a cheeky. That's what you want.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you prefer the money, but
yeah, I used a bonus bet on this game at $3.40 odds, which ended up getting up. Melbourne quarter time leader, very, very easy. They haven't conceded a goal 3 weeks in a row in the first quarter, Source. So that's hasn't happened since the 60s as well. So that's a very, very good stat. Over 163.5, which is where I think my sweat was a little bit, because GWS weren't scoring too many points early in that game, and Melbourne minus 31.5. So ended up getting up, take the $60 and move on to the next game.
Move on to the next game. Carlton played Port Adelaide, and I think by half time Carlton already moved on to the next week, because another Carlton fading in the second half. Don't know what's going on in Blue Lands, but I steered clear with this one, and lucky, because whatever you were betting on this one, it was a sweat.
Oh, it was concerning for Michael Voss in the coach's box, and they showed him a lot towards the end of that game. And things go a little bit differently, or some goal kicking happens a little bit differently. Port Adelaide could have snatched that one from 50 points down, and Carlton, giving up a lead against Hawthorn. The positive thing, if you're going to take anything positive away from it as a Carlton point of view, didn't have Cripps in the side, and in both of those games where the teams had come back, they won by under a goal. So they got the 4 points, and they can move on safely with the 4 points, which they would have taken before the game anyway.
They should be 5-0, 4-1. The Gold Coast win is an anomaly, hopefully, but again, it is concerning that they are giving up those big leads. Great for them to be holding on.
And they have a bit of a test this week against Fremantle over there. So
big test.
Interesting to see that.
Speaking of Fremantle, we get on to the Essendon-Fremantle game. Both of us at this time were waiting for the list there. We both loved Fremantle, and with good point there, Pez. Essendon, disgusting. Disgusting.
Yeah, I know. I really stuffed up on this one. I put a bonus bet out, and I was just trying to, be a little bit smart and do my little trick with the pluses on both sides, and the over and the under, so a range. And I missed out on the Essendon plus 37.5, because they were absolute witches' hats. We've seen the footage, and if you watched any show, they looked at the footage, and the midfielders for Essendon standing around as soon as they turn the ball over and not chasing the other way, which puts pressure on the Essendon defence. So I don't blame the Essendon defence. It's those forwards and midfielders that aren't running the other way when Fremantle got the ball. It was 5 goals each, Source. Fremantle kicked 10 in a row in that second half, and it was absolutely disgusting to watch. And if you're an Essendon fan, you would be super embarrassed of your footy club.
Super embarrassed, especially when I think a lot of people had them, in their top 4, some winning the premiership. I definitely had them making the top 6. You had them in the 8.
Out of the 8.
Out of the 8. Oh, about time you made a good call on ladder prediction. But it's really disappointing for that football club, and for them to be hiding around injuries, that's not on. Fremantle have been just in the same similar sort of spot with injuries. They came to a stadium that they don't win very often, and they flogged you by 50. Very disappointing for Essendon and the football club, and it looks like that streak of finals may continue.
Yeah, and there you go. It ends on Sunday, but we've got one more game, the Easter Monday. Long round,
and the longest game of footy, Pez. The Hawthorn-Geelong game, always a classic, Easter Monday classic, and the game itself delivered the same sort of performance. It was, again, a game of two halves, but it wasn't actually in order of the first half, second half. It was first quarter, last quarter, and then the middle 2 quarters in the middle. But both of us had the Jack Gunston or Tom Hawkins to kick any of the first 5 goals. Well, Dylan Moore basically kicked 4 in the first.
What are you going to do?
Hawkins didn't get involved in the action until the second quarter, and he didn't get into the fourth quarter. So that was a bad loss for that one. But $25. $2 on the nose. You can't.
I've got to take that. 2 key forwards down either end.
The money ball's been pretty good for us. I think we're 4 from 6.
You got to take the money ball special if you think it's any good. But Hawthorn, they get a good win against Geelong, and that's costly for them. And I don't know what they're doing down at the Cattery, but shouldn't have lost that. Nope. Definitely. We move on to the multis, and I say multis is plural, not just because it's me and you, but I've got two of my multis, which both got upsourced. We've got Brisbane Bulldogs, St Kilda, Melbourne. That was a tick at $2.11 with the max. And Brisbane, Western Bulldogs, St Kilda and Melbourne, the exact same one with a max tick at $2.09.
Yeah, speaking of things that shouldn't have lost, Pez, this multi should not have lost because Geelong shouldn't have lost, and it was the only leg that I lost, which cost me a nice little $115 profit. So
you were talking last week in your multi that you liked your odds better than mine because, 328 compared to 209.
Loved it.
Wouldn't be loving them right now with
Pez,
that red cross
you messaged
next
me
to it.
before the game. You're like, it's going to be a great round for you, Sauce. You're going to be both in the green after Geelong win. And then you didn't message me until the fourth quarter and go, hey, mate, I know you're a bit somber. Can you do me a favour? You didn't talk to me after the first quarter. So, that was a loss for me, Pez. But I did escape with a bonus bet. Hopefully I can win that back. And, my gosh, what a round.
Yeah, big Easter for Geelong and everyone else. Big Easter for myself. Not sure about you, Sauce, but let's have a look at our ROI for the season. Round 5, I staked $235, returned $478.47 for a return on investment of 103.6%. So happy with that round. And we might go to you for the round in your year so we can finish on a positive.
Yeah, it was a good Easter for me, Pez. Thanks for asking. Lots of chockies. Easter Bunny came. Got away for the weekend. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, no one wants to hear about that. We'll have to go on round 5.
Damn. All right, so I staked 135, and realistically, because of that Geelong loss, it meant I was prevented from getting into the positive. Returned $115.05, an ROI of minus 14.77%. But year-to-date, Pez, I'm still up and about. Staked $750 for the year. Return $835.89, an ROI 11.45%. Pez, kicking goals, because that's where we want, above 10%.
You're up there. Have you had a look at the little emoji on Twitter that the intern got for you?
Yeah, well, the intern needs a stern talking to because I'm still in the positive, so he needs to relax a little bit.
Oh, well, do you know what it is?
It's a microscope.
Yeah, you're under the microscope because
I'm not.
your performance.
What do you mean, 11%? That's up and about.
That's 2 losing weeks in a row. You need to turn it around.
So overall is 11%.
What the intern is saying.
Overall is over percent.
Under the microscope. Myself, year to date, I've staked $1,155, returned $1,669.02 for a return on investment of 44.5%. Sauce. So if I can stick there or thereabouts for the remainder of the season, I'll be making a lot of cash and it'll be good.
If you stick there for the remainder of the season and carry on like this, we're not having a podcast because I'm going to get on that little island there. I'm going to ship right off, okay? Because it's
I've got the island and the hotels back.
Yeah, I like that.
They're ready to go.
Yeah, last year, 10%. You had islands and hotels and huts, and then I get a microscope. I'm under the pump. I don't know why I'm under the pump. I'm in the positive.
You're under the pump. You're a lot of percent behind, Sauce, which is
it's not a competition, Pez.
It's
never been a competition ever.
Never been competitive. Let's get to round 6 and see if you can actually win.
The fact that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Now Bex with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And I said,
Oh, yes! Yes!
Yes, Pez. Never been competitive. Geez, that's a word of a lie between the two of us. It's all about winning green. And speaking of green, let's get on to the specials for this week.
Cyril takes a special and goes bang!
Yeah, a little bit disappointing to start with the specials because I've been refreshing sports bet specials for the last 2 days now and nothing yet. Nothing is out. And I've been waiting on that because they have given the best specials in the first 5 rounds. So I'm hoping that they do come back. And if they do, you can jump over them and we will be putting it out on Twitter at Behind the Bound. So they've got Thursday and Friday matches for NRL, the double winning Sauce, and I'm thinking they don't have the AFL specials out because there's no Thursday night footy game, so they're not under the pump. They've got an extra day, but lazy by them. They already know what they're going to do.
They're the market leaders.
Get it out and go there. Everyone else has tab, consistency, still going. All games, same game multis, you get your bonus back. Head-to-head special with the 3+ legs, 5+ legs, 7+ legs for tab on head-to-head multis, and then lead at halftime but lose bonus back up to 50 for venue mode exclusive if you can figure out how to use the venue mode there. Ladbrokes. Ladbrokes and Neds changed it up a little bit this week. They've got a 3+ leg same game multi bonus back on Friday and Sunday games. Okay, so not Saturday for whatever reason. Same thing with the $2 lines Friday, Sunday games. And then they've still got their mega multi around, so you can check that out if you want. Neds also have the early payout on head-to-head bets if you're up by 20 plus at halftime. Bet365, you can get more percentage on the more legs you have on a multi, and you get the AFL early payout, and it includes multis as well. So if you have a 4-leg multi in there and a couple of teams go up by 32 points, they give you the early payout even on those legs as well. So that's not bad.
That's really good value.
Bet right. We had to join the community for Discord last week. I had to find something to put on because I don't really have specials. So been seeing a little bit on Twitter from a few users about the 2022 Australian federal election. And you got 17 million enrolled Aussies. You got 151 seats. You got one party win on election night. So you can get some markets at BetRight if you want to bet on the politics. And if you're one of those flogs on Twitter that actually betting politics with no idea what you're doing, pull your head in. Next one is Moneyball. They've got Friday night. I should have done that last. Toby Green or Max King to kick one of the first 5 goals in the match, $25. So the same as the Hawkins Gunston one last week, paying $2. And then they've got Bombers versus Magpies Anzac Day medal. Max bet $20, all in betting. Any of McGrath, Parrish, Shield, Adams, Crisp, DeGoey to win the Anzac Day medal. It's paying $3. If you like that, or you think one or two of those players are going to win the medal, maybe put a little max 20 on there in Moneyball.
Yeah, the Moneyball one is 50-50 this week because one of them is quite good and the other one, it's low odds for a selection of 44 players that potentially could win it.
Oh, yeah, well, maybe 44 players, but you got to take some players. We're not going to get into that at the moment, but let's get into round 6.
Let's get into round 6, Pez. And Friday night footy, as we have definitely mentioned already on the podcast, we start things off with GWS taking on St Kilda. GWS have leaked out as the outsiders, $2.17, $1.69 for the Saints, Pez. The line is -3.5, and the over-under total points, 165.5.
Yeah, the only thing that's a bit nerve-wracking about this is St Kilda are playing away. And Toby Green's back, the captain of GWS. So I think that's why the odds are a little bit closer. If Toby Green was still out, I think the Saints ease into pretty big favourites there. But you can get some good value if you think either of these teams are going to win head-to-head. I am going to put one of these teams in my multi to end the round. So surprise, surprise who that's going to be. But my one for this is the Moneyball special sauce, Toby Green or Max King to kick any of the first 5 goals. Max bet $25, it says. But when you press that little Max button, as you know, $25.01.
You little ripper.
There you go.
Nice little win of $50.02.
And Max King hasn't been kicking first quarter goals, but if you get 2 key forwards, or Toby Green's not really a key forward, but 2 forwards, 2 players that might play forward, balls either end, you can win your bet. So I'm loving it.
I mean, Toby Green hasn't kicked any in the first quarter either this year. So.
No, hasn't kicked any goals at all. No. Can you believe it?
Slow start for him. All right, speaking of a slow start, Pez, I was a little bit slow in, Moneybet was a little bit slow. What are they called? Moneyball were a little bit slow in actually releasing that special, and I'd already put down one of my bonus bets for the round. So I've actually got 2 bets in the Friday night special.
Oh, here we go. I like it.
I've got the 25.
Bending the rules finally.
Not bending the rules. Not bending the rules. I'm following the rules that you've set, Pete. You move the benchmark, and I'm just following suit. So I've got the $25 Moneyball special for Toby Green or King to kick a goal, and I've got my $25 bonus bet from last week, Pez. I've got St Kilda to win the match. I think they get this done. Like it is a little bit worrying that they are playing away. St Kilda are the better team. They have been better performing, and putting Toby Green into that side does boost the morale, but it also adjusts their structure. I've put St Kilda plus 24.5. As the alternative handicap, and the over alternative handicap of 130.5. That gives me odds of $2.04, Pez, and I've just put my bonus bet on that to return $26. So double up on that one, Pez.
Yeah, very good. We like it when you're on the Saints as a Saints supporter here. But that's the Friday night game. We have to wait till Friday for footy. And then we have to move on to Saturday.
We do. We head on to we head all the way down to Mars Stadium. So Bendigo or Ballarat, wherever Mars Stadium is, wherever part of the universe that is, Pez. Western Bulldogs taking on the Crows. $1.29. Favourites are the Dogs. The Crows outsiders at $3.66. The line minus 22.5. Bit concerning for how windy that ground can get. So an interesting line there. And over 167.5. Pez. The Dogs surely they continue that little routing that they are doing.
Well, windy down in Mars, in Ballarat, I think it is, Source. And on the opposite side of the world, where we haven't played AFL, is Snickers Stadium over there. And I can't believe I've gone through with that. I thought about it the whole time you were saying that, and I thought, I'll go through with this. I'm a dad now, so I'm able to do that.
I like the way that you sat there. I could see you pondering. I could see you had something. You tried to get up in a couple of times, but the Snickers. You went from Mars to Snickers. Terrible.
No, I hate supermarket shopping. All right. So I hate going to the supermarket.
Yep.
But anytime I do, I just sneak off to wherever the Snickers are and just put one in my hand, and then
So you steal.
whenever
With all this money in, you can't just.
I don't actually buy the Snickers. At the end, I put it back, which is I don't know if that's good or not. But if you're with the missus or whatever, and she gets a little bit toey, you can go here, have a Snickers. You're not yourself when you're
You're not yourself when you're hungry. What a classic! All right, get on to the bets for this one.
Yes, I think the Bulldogs do not lose because it's down at Mars Stadium. They've had a bit of experience down there, and low-scoring games usually at Mars Stadium. Yep. So what I've done is I've put a three-leg same-game multi with Neds. You've got the Bulldogs head-to-head, the Bulldogs plus 10.5, and then the Bulldogs 1-39 margin, because I don't think they blow out Adelaide 40+. Adelaide's effort has been pretty superb this season, and they had a good win last week, but I don't think that they can get the win down in Ballarat. But I also don't think the Bulldogs can blow them out 40+. So a comfortable win to the Bulldogs, and 1-39 if that gets up. My bet gets up. It's $2.20. I put 25 on it.
Yeah, don't mind that one, Pez. I agree. I think the Dogs get this done. A little concerned about the Crows and the inconsistency of the Bulldogs from quarter to quarter. I've had a couple of games that they probably shouldn't have let get away from them. But yeah, the 1-39 is probably where I'd be leaning, but I am steering clear in this instant, Pez. So we move on to the next Saturday game, the 4:35 traditional time slot. Port Adelaide versus West Coast. Wow. Both of these teams sitting on one singular win there, Pez. Oh, no, sorry. Port Adelaide gave away that one win to the Crows. So they're sitting on 0 wins. Hopefully they can get their first win of the season. Of course, it's at Adelaide Oval. 135 are the favourites for the Power. $3.19 outsiders in West Coast. Minus 18.5 is the line. The over-under 161.5. Pez, Ken Hinkley surely gets his first win for the season.
Yeah, well, low odds for a team that's 0-5. I don't know if you would have seen something like that before, but last week I'm watching the Port Adelaide game, and they're down by 50 points to Carlton, and I'm thinking, do they not want to play for this coach? Are they just waiting until the coach gets sacked? Are they going to perform like this all the time? But then I saw the comeback, and I saw the heart. I saw Robbie Gray in for his first game last week, and I just think Port Adelaide are going to show more effort and more heart at home. They're going to give their fans a spectacle, and they're going to towel up the West Coast Eagles here. I don't have a bet. I'm steering clear because of all the unknowns on the West Coast Eagles, and you don't know what's happening, and it doesn't matter about the personnel at the moment of who comes in or not. Their effort just isn't there, and I think they've put 2022 to bed already. So I think the Power win, but no bet for me at the moment.
Yeah, I was looking for markets for the Ken Hinkley first coach to be sacked, because if they lose this, Pez, it is definitely on the cards, and it would be definitely better odds than $1.35. So you'd chuck a cheeky tenner on that one, I think, to get that done. I've gone with, I think Port Adelaide get the job done. I like the inclusion of Robbie Gray. I agree. I think West Coast are so mentally emotionally damaged, mentally damaged. The season is already gone. They have put the cues in the rack. Port Adelaide will be looking to bounce back. They would still see finals as a good outcome for them, with a lot of games that they play at home, and hopefully can, guide some of those young players through some match fitness and get the result. So I've gone Port Adelaide for the win. 3-leg same game multi, with Neds, 1-leg Vales. First one of the day, so that's the only one I've got on the Saturday. Money back in return of a bonus. I've got Port Adelaide to win. Ryan Burton to get 20 disposals. Huge difference in discrepancy between markets. $1.12 or something like that on Sportsbet. $1.50 on Ned. So
it's huge.
It's a huge discrepancy there. And if we're going off the $1.12, Sportsbet pretty much have that on the mark there. That's great value. And I've gone Port Adelaide alternative handicap plus 13.5. So I just need them to win and Ryan Burton to do what he does. And I should double up their pairs. Odds of $2.10 and a whack 25 on that.
You'll be going. I hope you're right, because I'm going to use Port Adelaide in another competition that I'm in as well this week, and fingers crossed that can get up.
Yeah, fingers crossed, Pez. We get on to the Saturday night clash. Only one Saturday night game, so we like that there's no overlap, Pez. We love that aspect. It's just the rest of the fixture that they got wrong. Fremantle taking on the Blues. Fremantle are favourites at SBS Stadium, $1.64. Carlton, the outsiders, $2.27. Minus 7.5 is the line. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this one, Pez. The over-under, 159.5. This is an interesting game. I don't have a bet in this one. It's a sticker for me. I need to see the team list, but I'm sort of leaning Carlton if they get a couple of names back.
Yeah, well, this game you got Fremantle 4-1. You got Carlton 4-1, so it's an absolute massive game. Fremantle pretty good at home. There's the big discussion of, are Fremantle any good? Who have they played? Who have they beaten? And that they haven't really proved a hell of a lot. Essendon were witches' hats on the weekend, but it was good for them to come away and get a win. Taberner kicking 7 goals, and everyone against Essendon seems to, pig out on goals and kick a big bag. Carlton on the way back, is Cripps looking at coming in source? Is that one of the ones you're thinking about?
He's probably the main one that I'm looking for, Pez. I think if he can get up, it adds a different element to the side. And I think just, the close games here, I'm putting, the big discrepancy in comes back, the way that they're just letting those leads go. I'm putting down to interest. Like, I think that they have put in the game plan, they're directing it right. Maybe it's the coaching adjustment of Voss. Maybe he can't adjust after half time, but I think their list is a lot better. We both had them making the 8. Did you have them making the 8?
Nah, outside.
Yeah, so another one you got wrong. All right, so I had them making the 8, and I think that they're much better than Fremantle. I guess the lean would be towards them because of the ground, but I think the main one coming back is Cripps, and he adds a different.
So pretty close game.
I'd say so.
Either way,
yeah.
So you might like my bet here.
Cheeky.
We've set that one up. This is very cheeky. At odds of $23, Source. Just a single. I'm in the halftime, full-time margin. Draw at halftime or a draw at full-time. $23. Cheeky 10 on it.
Every week I look at your bet slip, and every week I look at you, Pez, and I'm like, how is this vlog going to surprise me this time? That has to be a first that we've bet on. I didn't know that's a bet. I didn't know you could bet on the draw either or at the end. Who's that with?
Tab.
Wow. That's interesting.
Didn't even have to put it in a multi because I couldn't fit anything else. They didn't have very many markets in the steer clear games I had.
There was like 7 markets available for that game.
You know what? This is what I'm going with. Let's just hope for a close game. And if it's 6 points in it with a minute to go at second quarter, I'll be pretty excited.
Did you put 25 on that one?
Cheeky 10, I said that.
Oh, well, so the first time you follow the rules with the cheeky, and that's what the cheeky's about, Pez, the cheeky 10.
Well, it's very cheeky at $23. So
very, very cheeky.
We'll see how we go.
I'll be looking to put a live bet out with that one, Pez, once I've got some time this week, and I'm taking a flight to Tasmania to watch the next game. And I will have a look at the teams for this one because I am really interested to see how the odds swing with some inclusions for Carlton. And I probably, once I see the teams, probably still will lean towards Carlton. So anyway, we get on to the Sunday game. We head to Bloodstone Arena, and I'll be heading there directly, Pez. It'll be interesting to see.
You ever been to footy in Tasmania?
No, I haven't been there before. My dad follows North Melbourne. We've got some family down in Tasmania, so we thought let's make an occasion of it. Go down there.
I've never been to Tasmania and I've never been to the ground, but I'll give you advice. Pack every jacket you have in your house.
Check the weather, Pez. It's 18 degrees and only 16-kilometre winds, which in comparison to Melbourne on Sunday, the same time, is only 11 kilometres wind. So I think that's not too much.
It's going to be cold.
Yeah, it's going to be cold. But anyway, let's get into the odds, Pez. $5.10 are North Melbourne hosting Geelong in Bloodstone Arena, as I mentioned. $1.17 are the Cats. Minus 28.5 is the line. Over under 165.5, Pez. Rugged up, be ready to go. Surely you'll be on the couch cheering for the Cats.
I will be cheering for the Cats, but not because I want them to win. I do want them to win because of my bet. You just got to cheer for your money, don't you? Wherever your money is, and my money's in Tab because they've got the same game multi special in all games, and they've had it all year, Source. So if Sportsbet don't put anything out this week, Tab takes the little first place in my book without that good special in Sportsbet. So I've just gone Geelong plus 4.5 on pick your own line. Geelong first quarter result. So they've got to win the first quarter, Source, and then Geelong by 25 plus in the 1 to 24 or 25 plus market, and that's odds of $2, 25 on it. The line's at about, what'd you say, minus 29.5 or
28.5.
28.5. So 25 plus is around thereabouts, and it gets me $2 odds.
Yeah, I like that one, Pez. And if that one wins, it would be very close for mine winning, Pez, because I've gone something a little bit
cheeky
in this one.
Cheeky down in Tasmania.
Cheeky down in Tasmania, mainly based off some of the comments that Joel Selwood came out at the match and said, it's interesting to hear someone like that, and we know how great a captain he is, and he described the first and last quarter as shithouse, and it's rare that you actually see swearing in a press conference, and I think that speaks volumes. I think they'll train their asses off. They're playing a wounded North Melbourne after last week, and I'm hoping that everyone will be on the chopping block ready to go. They'll go through the park this week, and Geelong's pretty cold as it is, Pez, so they might do their training sessions down at the beach.
Take their mouth guards?
Take their mouth guards. What? Take their mouth guards.
That's what Hawthorn did the week before playing Geelong. They took their mouth guards to training and came out and got a win.
Yeah, well, they need to take more than their mouth guards, Pez, because the vibes down there and after the game, as you said, quite somber. I've gone with Geelong to win the game by 40 plus. I think they get the job done. It's $2.25 versus $2.20, the 1 to 39. The bookies don't know. I'll take a punt with the 40 plus. Tom, Atkins to get 15 touches or more. He is continually racking them up, Pez. He's definitely getting a spot in that side in the regular. Tyson Skengel. Pez, I think that he last week was extremely unlucky. He had about 4 or 5 shots on goal. A lot of pressure from the Hawthorn Football Club. I think he gets 2 goals for this game. I've put the odds boot on Ned's $6.42 boosted up to, and I've whacked a cheeky 25 on it, Pez.
Yeah, you love the Geelong bets. You've steer cleared a couple of times this year, but Finstar will be happy you've gone back and all over the Cats again.
Well, that's how I get my winning results back, Pez. Jump on the Cats. So, yes, I have tried to steer clear with them, but I think that, as I said, the captain's comments speak volume, and they are a club that generally responds with adversity. So hopefully...
You get to play the worst side in the comp.
We do, so it's a good one to bounce back from. All right, speaking of bouncing back, Gold Coast are taking on Brisbane in the Q Clash, Pez. Are they still calling it the Q Clash?
We ask that every time they play. They play twice
No
a
one
year.
cares, and the bookies actually probably care a little bit more in this one. $3.20 are the Suns, surprising how low they are, and Brisbane $1.35 for a team that's 5-1. Minus 17.5 is the line again. I think it's quite low, and the over/under Pez 165.5. Can the Suns take stake in this Q Clash, Pez?
You wouldn't think so, but Brisbane, when they played against North Melbourne, they beat him by 108 points, so a low-level team. The Gold Coast, I saw them live last week. They didn't look too good. They had Weller come back in. He got a lot of the ball.
Right.
A lot of the ball in the back line and half back, and he really wanted it. And the Saints zone kind of let Took Miller, really smart footballer Took Miller, he got into a lot of space and didn't have an opponent for the whole game and got the ball there. But I think Brisbane, with their defensive zone and setup, will be able to turn the ball over again and again and run forward. And their forward line, as we know, one of the best in the business. And Joe Danaher could have a day out. You could have Charlie Cameron have a day out. You could have McStay, who's looking really promising up there as well. Darcy Ford even coming from your Cats as well. He's looking all right. So I've put a little 3-leg same game multi, and I've put the boost on. And I've read the terms and conditions source. It counts if you put the bet boost on. So you can,
the last one.
you can do that on the Sunday. We've got Brisbane plus 17.5, so that's the highest $1.10 odds for the plus for Brisbane. We've got the overs 136.5, so they don't have to score too much to get over 136.5. But then we've gone Brisbane at the line. It's $2 lines on Sunday, so Brisbane minus 18.5. All up, that gets me $2.32. Put the max 50 on it because I'm pretty confident that Brisbane, just give them a little 6+ goal shellacking.
Yeah, I like that one, Pez. I totally agree with everything you said there. I think that the defensive pressure that Brisbane apply and their, the firepower of the ability of that forward line to score quickly and to score, quite frequently, means this game probably opens up. And I think that you're going to be looking at a motivated Brisbane as well. The Q Clash, the Suns will bring some extra heat, which will make sure that Brisbane are on their toes, ready to perform. I've gone a 2-leg same game multi with Sportsbet because I've got to use my $50 bonus bet from Geelong's disappointing performance last week. 2-leg pairs, Brisbane plus 5.5. Pick your own line. They should get that if they flog them. And I've gone the over 165.5. I think this line is actually really low. I think that Brisbane possibly could score 120 themselves. And the Gold Coast Suns are averaging about 70 points. So this game could go over the 200s. And I've whacked 50 on that one, Pez, for a little return, hopefully, of 62.50, odds of 225.
Mate, the two, I was going to say the two maxes, but yours is a bonus bet. But pretty confident to be putting that kind of stuff around. And is that the last game on the Saturday? I'm confused with the fixture.
It is the last game. That was the first game on the Sunday, Pez. So that's the second game of the Sunday. We talk of the third game of the Sunday. I know, so it feels like we're continually just
come on, AFL.
Yeah, it's
Thursday through Sunday.
Oh, wait, we got 2 games on Monday. That'll confuse us right up there. All right, we got the MCG Clash, Pez. This will be a classic. Richmond, who are coming really big outsiders against the D's, with right so too, because we are facing the reigning premiers. 425 are the Tigers, 123 are the D's. Minus 25.5 is the line. Over under 169.5. Pez, the D's are on fire. Will this be their first loss of the season?
I can't see that happening. Richmond with the 2 wins for the year, a percentage of below 100. Melbourne just absolutely flying and not having any little hiccups at all. We've got Richmond's, one of their wins source was against the Western Bulldogs, who were very inaccurate on the night. So you take that into perspective. If the Bulldogs kick, a little bit straighter, they probably get the chocolates there if they play that first quarter a little bit differently and the ball goes through the goals instead of the behinds. So you can't really play off Richmond on that. After they beat the Bulldogs, there was a lot of talk of maybe Richmond are good. Maybe they've still got their, the premiership players. They've had Prestia come back in, Rewalt come back in, and they beat the Bulldogs, who were a grand finalist last year. But going to Adelaide and losing that game and not being able to stand up. You had Shea Bolton stand up for a little bit when they, had their run. So I think Richmond are a side that can go on dangerous little 3 to 5 goal runs, but I think they fade a lot. I think their fitness is really questionable. I think their players, some of them aren't up to that fitness standard and they can't run out games. I think Melbourne glide along the ground. They've got their wingers that, they've got the contested ball machines in the middle. Get it out to your wingers and your run. Ed Langdon's just having a year out on that wing, just delivering the ball inside forward 50, and you'd love to be a forward over at Melbourne. I'm steering clear at the moment. I just want to see a little bit more information because it is on a Sunday, but I think Melbourne win it pretty easily against the Tigers.
Yeah, this would probably have to be the first test, I would say, in Melbourne's fixture. Like, they had the Western Bulldogs early in the round 1, but everyone sort of thought they would win that. The Port Adelaide Power, we see now, have not been a test. They're 0-5. This is a big test because it's, at the G, the Richmond Tigers bounce back. They're a club that, don't mind their backs to the wall. Their 5-year plan, that dynasty that, that they refuse to be dead. But I think that the D's can actually really do a number on the Tigers, and they'll keep it close for bits and parts. But realistically, those bigger bodies going through that midfield, they just have structures all around the ground, Pez, and an elite ruckman, elite backman. Their forwards, we don't even need elite forwards because the ball comes in there that often. You and I would be kicking goals. So I'm steering clear, but I do think that the D's get this done pretty easily. So. Steer clear for me. We'll wait for the teams, and I might even look at putting a live game because I'll be watching that on the I'll be at the airport probably, so I'll be looking for something to do and throw away some money. So by then I'll be so far up in the green that I might donate 25 for a cheeky little bit.
And just a note, Tom Lynch on his career, kicked a lot of goals at the Gold Coast, comes over to Richmond and in a pretty set squad, and is able to kick his goals there, and he's a beautiful set shot at goal. If you watch him kick the footy, but his presence and leading forward, he's been too easy to stop this year, and he really needs to turn his form around and be able to influence the game up the ground on the $1 million plus that he's on at Richmond. So calling out Tom Lynch to pull your finger out and actually do something to help your team instead of just trying to sit inside forward 50, get the cheap mark and have his shots at goal.
Yeah, whack goes Pez on that one. Not happy with that at all, Pez. Interesting. You never liked Tom Lynch anyway. That was an unfair assessment.
Oh, I don't. No, well, you don't think that's true?
I think it's completely true. Yeah. I think I totally agree. I think now that the over the back ones aren't coming, he's not looking as good. And
but a beautiful set shot at goal he is.
Great set of shot.
Beautiful.
But he doesn't seem to want to. Yeah, you're right. Doesn't seem to want to take that marking test and get involved. But
that's got to end the round on Sunday, doesn't it?
Surely you'd think so, Pez. But there's still 2 games to go. We get into the Anzac Day clash, Pez. And when I talk Anzac Day, automatically you think Essendon versus Collingwood. Hell yeah, that's a great game. But unfortunately, the AFL has buggered it up, Pez, and they've put an early game on, a 12:30 start, which means it has a possibility of overlapping in that first quarter. Hawthorn taking on Sydney. Hawthorn, $2.19, Sydney, $1.68. That means there's going to be 2 games in Tassie this week, Pez, because the Swans and the Hawks are getting the run in Tasmania for Anzac Day. The line is -6.5. The over-under, Pez, 168.5. Pez?
Are you staying or are you flying out on the...
We'll be flying back on the Sunday afternoon because I'm actually going to be marching in the Anzac March, Pez, representing my family and my grandfather. So I was going to say, the track back.
If you weren't doing that, you could have gone to a couple of games down in Tasmania.
Would have been great. I feel like it
would
have been the only opportunity either of us were really to have to attend an Anzac Day match because that's always sold out, and that would be an absolute experience.
I don't mind that Hawthorn had a win against Geelong last week in terms of this because the odds are a little bit in Sydney's favour if you like Sydney against the Hawks. I still don't rate the Hawks as a team that are going to compete for the 8 this year. I think they're a bottom 10 side, so I believe Sydney are a good value here. And Buddy's going to be out again with his finger, but their forward line is functioning really, really well. I've got a 3-leg same game multi with Tab. I've got Sydney plus 28.5. Which listeners be used to that now. Just put the highest you can. Sydney head-to-head, and then a try bet. Sydney, 16 plus. So they've got to win by 16 or more. That's odds of $2.30. I've put the max 50 on it. That's how confident I am as well.
Yeah, love that bet, Pez, because I totally agree with what you're saying about their forward line. The absence of Franklin is no worry to them because he's not even leading their goal kicking, Pez. Isaac Heaney has been an absolute freak this year. 3 goals, 5 goals, 1 goal. A little bit disappointing around 3. 2 goals and 3 goals. And hopefully that trend continues, Pez, because he is absolute value at $1.60 to get 2 or more goals in that game. I think that this game is really going to open up. I totally agree. Realistically, Hawthorn should have lost that game by, let's say, 4 goals. And somehow, because Geelong absolutely stuffed it up, they get the bookies have been forced to put this game at lower odds. And I'm going to take advantage. I agree. Sydney to win, 3-leg same game multi. Isaac Heaney to kick 2. And I've put the actual max you can do at plus 39.5 Pez with Neds for my little 3-leg same game multi. 25 on it, $2.10, and that is money for VBs, that one, Pez.
I just didn't put the max because the max on tab was paying $1.01. And I can't include the $1. Got to be $1.10.
Yes, got to make sure you follow those terms and conditions. All right. I feel a little fatigued just reading through the matches, Pez, but we are finally on the last game of the round, Monday afternoon, Essendon versus Collingwood, the traditional, the only Anzac Day game that should be played. $2.76 are the Bombers coming in outsiders. Collingwood, $1.45, minus 13.5, over 173.5. Pez, this seems like a game that Essendon can win with their backs to the wall, all the press during the week. Anzac Day, big occasion, $2.76. You're taking us pen, are you?
Look, it is a game it's historically going to be close either way, no matter where they are on the ladder. You think Collingwood, they've got a couple of good young players. They've got the older veterans as well, and they're continuing to play very, very well. They've performed really, really well against Brisbane. Essendon, not so much this year at all. So I think Collingwood get the win just because they are the better side. I'm not going to go with any Anzac Day hoodoos or anything like that, but I am steering clear of this game at the moment. Not enough information out. And a tweet we put out on the weekend source it was about Mason Cox. And there was a lot going around about Mason Cox on the weekend because he is, you don't like to down people, but he is a useless AFL footballer. And it's just amazing how many people think that. And we just said, why do Collingwood insist on playing Mason Cox? Thousands of better players around Australia. And I did mean thousands, source, because you go to local footy, you go to under 18, some of those forwards are going to be better players than Mason Cox. He's just really, really tall. And we had a bit of interaction there. So just a shout out there. And I think if Collingwood drop Mason Cox again for good, they can actually improve their side and actually fight for a final spot. If they keep Mason Cox in the side, I don't think they make finals if he plays every game.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, Pez, because I don't know who the better side is. I'm still not sold on Collingwood, and I agree. I think with them in, Mason Cox in that forward line, he just doesn't seem to understand where to lead to. He creates some, frustration for those other forwards because he demands the ball and they do focus on him, but there was some footage on the weekend where he actually was running in the wrong direction to a lead, and he looked absolutely clueless what he was doing. And I think that really, really highlights that forward line structure. They can be a good side. They've got 2 absolute young guns in Dacost and Dacost. They've got some really good forwards and exciting forwards. I don't know why they continually play him. The game doesn't need tall forwards, especially if they're not gonna kick to a contest.
You talk about the leads, and he did a lead, and he actually cut off his teammate's opponent, but he put his arms up in the air. He should have got 50 metres against him. Put his arms up in the air because his mate didn't kick it to him. And he kicked it to the open guy in front of goal.
Exactly right.
He doesn't have any game sense.
None.
He doesn't understand what's happening, leading patterns, where to go and what to do, and he's unteachable at this point in time. So send him back, and he should stay off Twitter as well.
What's the old saying, Pez? You can't teach height, and that's about as good as it gets. The experiment with the overseas players has to be done with this one. Yes, he's a premiership player. Did they win that? Oh, no, he was very close to being a premiership player. That's right. Little Collingwood dig there, West Coast. Great little kick from the sideline.
Oh, anyway, Sheed, very good.
I'm steering clear of this one, Pez. There's no chance I'm putting a bet out 6 days out from it. 6 days out, Pez. That's how long this game is. 6 days away.
That's too long.
It's way too long. I don't know any information, is it? But I will be watching it. It is a great spectacle to watch. I'll be at the pub watching that one, Pez. Going to the Duke. of Duke of Wellington to watch that one. I love that pub. Great football viewing pub.
You're going to have the Duke of Wellington need to give you a little pump up. You're going to have a lot of fans there.
I will.
Looking for the sauce.
Say sauce at the door for a cheaper entry. What's the old guest list?
Back in the day in the guest list. Well, I'll put a multi on, and I haven't gone with Sportsbet because they don't have the special. I've gone with Tab. I've put Geelong to win against Kangaroos. We've got Brisbane to beat the Gold Coast. We've got Sydney to beat Hawthorn. And I've put St Kilda for a little value to beat GWS. If one of those legs fails, I get a bonus bet back. Put the max 50, odds of $4.50 sauce. And if Sportsbet bring out that special, you better believe that I'm putting out a Sportsbet one as well.
Yeah, I'm actually not going with the multi one, Pez, because I am waiting for the Sportsbet one. I do like the way that they do it. If they don't have one by the first game, I will put out another one, use Tab. If I was to put one out, I don't think it'll change much because the odds won't change. I'm going St Kilda, the Dogs, Geelong and Brisbane, the ones I think that are guaranteed. I think that should give me odds about, I don't know, maybe $3 something. And I will be whacking the max 50 on it either way. It may change to 3 legs if I go with Tab, though, because I do like that $3 mark that I want to sit with my multis.
Well, by the time we put out the bet slip tomorrow or Friday, depending when the intern decides, we'll probably know the Sportsbet special, so you'll be able to add your multi in there. And if you need to see Source's multi and you want to tail it, like... who is it? Sir Duke?
Sir Duke. Oh, that's why I'm going to the Duke. It's his pub.
Jump at Behind the Bound on Twitter and you can see all the wonderful things going on there. Enjoy your Anzac Day weekend. And if you did take the 4 days off between Easter Monday and Anzac Day to get the 10 days off in total, hope you're enjoying your little getaway and your little holiday. I've been Pez. Peace out.
I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time, guys. And as always, if you're having a bet responsibly.